Let's combine both the reformer and the chair for some side sitting and sitting on the chair facing back, using the strap for the hands and also around the knee. Now, when we get to the thigh, you can use a thigh cuff. If you're going to combine these together in one class or a workout, you can definitely use the double loops, which I'm going to demo with today. As I always like to start, if a yellow spring is too much for you with the arm work, always take a hooked on Pilates handy band, loop it once around, and put it on the headrest, the shoulder rest, sorry. And that will act similarly to a half of not similarly, what would be half of a yellow spring. So it's really wonderful for any of the side sitting exercises that we're going to do. You're going to find that a yellow spring is going to be probably too heavy to do a lot of this series. So you'll want to get a set of those hooked on Pilates handy bands. And I recommend, just for purpose of having them, get a set of the light, which is this is the peach, and a set of the green, because there's a lot of great stuff you can do with my athletic classes as well. And you want to do them with the handy bands, not the straps, just because even a yellow can be too much. So with that said, I'm going to set this away. We are going to, and I'm talking about a right angle like a Z or an A frame. When we're using the swivel pulley and we're incorporating them, I want to make sure that my propping, whether I'm on a mat or a box and the chair, that we're centered. So when I take the swivel pulley and I line it up with the center of the chair, everything is even. So right here, it looks pretty good. If I were to do anything, I might be picking and just angle it a tiny bit more that way, and then I feel pretty good about it. So make sure that this rope is not too far to one side centered of the chair, because we are going to do both right and left side of the body. You can also loop it once around the shoulder rest for arms, once around the peg for legs, or just a couple times around the peg for arms. It's up to you. You need to kind of see what feels right. So we're going to start this with, and I think, let me just test this once around the peg, whether that's right for what I want to do. Nope, I'm going to do twice around the peg. Yeah, that's going to be about right. So you're going to want to position your legs, and you might need to try it a couple times. I got on the machine just a moment ago when I'm setting up before I started the camera, and I played around with how far I wanted it from here. Basically, I don't want the carriage banging. So if I go too far, it's going to bang. So I want to make sure that when I've got it around my thigh, maybe the carriage is open a hand distance apart. So when I do straighten the leg out, I'm not hitting the carriage, the end of the machine. It's up to you where you want to do this. I'm just telling you, you've got to get to the point where it feels right for your limb length. So we've got it all set up. I've given you a few minutes. Turn the camera off, get yourself set up, make sure it's even, and then you've got your limb length and your rope all set. So before I even use the chair for the series, I'm just going to start with marching. Simply one with a strap, one without. So you're going to see in a moment how we can take this series of just simple marching and add the chair with it. So you can do all one side, or you can progress it up and then switch. It doesn't matter. So let's say we want to do 10 marching grounded, right leg, and then I'm going to go a little lower, and 10 marching and a half roll back. And then I'm going to switch. So I'll show you that sequence on the other side. Be very careful how much you do without stretching. Now I'm demoing, so if I were to do this in a class, and I'm going to start here, here, rolling down a little bit more. I might add rotation and then do a hip flexor stretch. So then I'm going to go arm up, rotate, back down, rotate, back down, take my arm away if I do not need that assist. And then I'm going to do a nice little hip flexor stretch. Take myself on the side of the chair and do a nice stretch without falling over. Whatever side I was loading, I can do that stretch. I like to put this in between that series. So that's a really great way to incorporate it in and then get them back on. You can also combine the chair. You don't have to do the progression. So now I'm going to go back. I'll do left leg. I'm going to go back from the top and show you how we take it without the rotation, just from the marching, and then add the chair. So I'm going to start here, marching, 2 reps of each, rolling back further, going back to the chair, rolling back further, adding up, marching, so you can see how you can go from up and work yourself back. Now I'll show that the same thing, stable, unstable, and then on the chair with rotation. So rotate on there, rolling down more, rotate, rotate, on the chair, going even farther. So you can see how you can get into progressing it down. Now, if you're not going to progress it down, then what I want you to do is use those as an option for your classes. So if you're going to do this combination, and maybe, let's say you have a set of dumbbells here, you're going to do some arm work, whatever that may be, set the dumbbells down, take your beginning students into this position. Sorry, let me flip it around. So here, that's my problem. Sorry. So start my beginning students here. Take my intermediate students here. Take my advanced students here. And so you can see how you can take that even with the rotation series. Start my beginning students here. You can even break it down, hip flexion, rotation, and lower. You can take it to the forward, arm, leg up, twist. You can even take the arm off of the chair, take that cyst away, add the hand on the chair. So you see those different options that you can do with that. Last but not least, and I have tried it with various ways, and because of my limb length, I really like having the box down here. I have done it with an arc on my feet. I've done it with a ball under the stable foot, so I've got the foot down, and that's going to be really, really advanced. So instead of having the box here, put your feet on a stability ball, and when you do the marching, the ball is going to go all over the place. I'm not going to show that today, but I did want you to know that there are some more advanced variations you can do with this chair reformer series. The hip flexors with rotation. So now I'm going to take it all the way up into, let me scoot forward a little bit more, into a tabletop. Now you can just start here if you want. Get them comfortable with that. Bring it up. Add legs. Add rotation. So you can see those different options you can do. With that series, I find that the yellow is too heavy. And I was just showing it to you, but I would definitely recommend, if you're doing yellow on a lot of those, definitely go to the Hooked on Pilates handy band, that peach one, for those. Otherwise, you're working too hard muscularly to hold yourself up. And when it's a little lighter, you've got just tiny bit of tension to add it on. Now, when we're adding some more challenge on. Now, when we're talking about options, programming this series for beginning, intermediate to advanced, or starting beginner, go to intermediate, go to advanced, and flow your class up to harder. You can also do that with the handy bands. That would start everything. Do maybe a grouping of these with the peach on, and then say, hey, whoever wants to go a little harder, let's go ahead and add that. And that's how I would approach it in my athletic classes. I would probably start everything without this. I would do a sequence of just the marching without even incorporating the reformer. Maybe I'm going to go here and then say, okay, everybody, let's go ahead and strap our left leg on to the reformer loop. That's another way. So there's different ways you can do it. Either teach it segmentally in levels, or use the different levels to challenge your students, or start without the reformer, do the chair, and then incorporate that in. I just wanted you to know that that's the primary ways that I use my progressions. So let's go ahead and go over some side sitting series. So the box is a way for this one, and you basically side sit. It's a lot of the same arm work that you do on the reformer. So we have the option of not using this to start with. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we just start our class here. We do our series chair presses. And then we say, all right, let's go and grab that reformer strap. That is a nice option. Also, too, you can do you can incorporate some dumbbells instead of the strap. So you can go from nothing to dumbbells and then challenge the body with the reformer strap. So starting without doing anything other than just holding it, I'm just going to do that little bit of a chair stretch. And then I'm going to add a biceps curl as I come up, keeping it nice and simple by curling into the chest. I can challenge that by going all the way up, slowly lowering down and stretching all the way up. And I love the bicep curl with the reformer because it prevents me from going into my scoliosis side. It supports that side. So that's quite a wonderful option. You can do a little bit of arm work here and then go into a stretch, back up, little rotation, little bit of arm work, and finish with there. The nice thing about this is you can go a lot lighter just by grabbing the long loop and doing some pulls here, and then some mermaids. I'm going to actually, my preference for the mermaid is to do it short. So I'm going to go here, mermaid. That way that reformer rope is starting to help pull me into that. And then I can go back to here, shoulder presses, and down. So there's a lot of wonderful things you can do combining. Let's do 3 twists, rotation, and then on the third, right down into stretch curls. So those are wonderful options to play around with that. If you're doing light and you have the ability to add a John Travolta, you can do that too. Just make sure your body positioning is, you're not going to hit that, okay? So if I'm going to hit the end, I'm going to make sure, if my limb length is longer, I'm going to make sure that I uncoil one of those if I'm going to go through there, all right? So starting here, curling, going a little bit deeper, adding rotation, curling, and I'm going to put it back on for that one. I want a little bit more assist. So I'm going to add rotation. I'm going to come up, curl to rotate the other way, release that curl to assist. So there's some nice options for that. Also, too, if you want to get a little bit more stretch in the piriformis, you can bring the leg up and add rotation to a press. For that one, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take the curl out of it. There we go. That one feels good. Just make sure when you're adding that rotation in this variation, really sit up tall so you don't hurt your back. So leg position over the side on top is up to you. My preference for the majority of it, because I don't like the ankle sitting on the top, this is not soft enough for me. This is my preference, either aside the black knob here or here. It's up to you. So there's some wonderful options. I'm going to take it just to 1, and I'm going to do a sequence of shoulder presses, up, down, here, where I'm pressing on the top, or I'm pressing across the body. So really important that you try every single arm series option. Add some overhead triceps, bring the arm down and press in rotation. Bring yourself back up, triceps. So I'm bringing the hand to the top of the head. I'm locking myself in here, press it up, bring it down, aside the chin, down to the chair, and then hand goes on and press for 3, 2, 1. Sit back up, bring it to the shoulder, to the top of the head, and add the triceps. And on the yellow spring, that's going to be a lot, on the yellow spring, it's going to be a lot more of a challenge. So if you're going to add that into the flow, and let me just show you like everything together, flowing from the standard, which is down, bicep curl as I come up for 2 reps. 2 reps of presses. And back down to the press. Horizontally is going to bring me back up too, so there's not a lot of movement in the carriage. Rotate. John Travolta. And I'm going to finish John Travolta, rotate, tricep, bring it aside the shoulder all the way down. I'm going to actually go into the hand instead of the thumb, and then add flexion and rotation. And then back up, back here, and back to John and Travolta. I need a thumb for that. Back here, rotation. Back here, curls. So there's some wonderful options. I'm getting a little tired on this side, but what I might recommend for programming when you're doing the side sitting chair series combining, maybe do 2 or 3 on one side. So let's say I'm just going to do the curl presses of the chair, rotation. I'm going to go do it on the other side. And I might say, all right, here I'm going to roll back and maybe rotate away from the reformer. Try that. See if you want to put in a transition between the two sides. So whether you've got the short box at the edge and you're doing some hip flexors, or away and you're doing side bending, be aware that there are limitless options of arm work, rotation presses, and then flowing into something else. Let's say you do the one we started with the marching series, whatever series you want to do, whether you're progressing it or staying there. Then you're going to perhaps take the box away, do this series, and then you can finish up without the reformer and just do some arms, hands on the chair, do some press downs. You can even go, and I haven't done this flow, it just kind of felt like it's possible here. Then let's say you get done with the arms, it's the last thing you did before you stand up. You can always go into some presses. So that would be a natural flow for me from the side work, doing that. If I want to add some work with the reformer and side frog, extended frog presses. I don't know what you call it, but that's kind of what I think. It's wide. So enjoy trying those different combinations out using the chair sitting, whether it's facing back or to the side. And thanks for watching.